The Cahill Expressway, an exciting new way of navigating Australia's largest city. Or, Geoffrey Smart's 1962 painting of the Cahill Expressway places us at the expressway, but not in a way that the announcers, politicians and designers would have used to promote this portion of Sydney's newest infrastructure. Opened 4 years earlier in 1958, the Cahill Expressway was Australia's first expressway, an expression of the future, modelled on American car culture, a freeway in the sense of limitless freedom through owning your own car and going your own way. The original announcement reads, "The overhead roadway at Circular Quay was a striking symbol of Sydney's growth and maturity, and a monument to the skill and industry of the people," the Premier said. Which Premier? That would be Premier Joe Cahill, a monument good enough to name after himself. Never get between a politician and an infrastructure name. My thumbnail is headed "The Great Australian Emptiness." This is what I see in the painting. Australians are well aware of the vast, seemingly empty centre of our country. But that's a cliche, and once you learn to look, you find the centre is in fact full of life. No, the emptiness here is one of our souls, alienated by the design of our cities, crafted to pay homage to the motor car rather than human beings. Geoffrey Smart, the artist, didn't like people reading too much into his paintings. He liked to paint the geometric forms of a city and thought they were beautiful, and here was enamoured by the sweeping curve of the road and the placement of the curve arising from the tunnel. Good large masses and interesting composition. The palette gives us some clues to the cost to us, though. Smog brown, a drab sky coating everything in a dreary light. And here, staring our way but not with much interest, a solitary figure. You've probably noticed by now that he has at least one missing arm. He's overweight, fairly unremarkable, the kind of bloke you would pass in the street without a second glance. Again, the artist asks us not to read too much into him, saying he was only placed there for compositional balance. But his lone presence, to me, underscores the loneliness of the expressway. All right, I've disagreed with the artist twice now. Surely he knows far more about his painting than I do. But this channel is about reactions, my reactions, what the art does to me, and what it may do for you. And having the chutzpah to disagree with the artist raises something that has interested me for a while. It's almost fashionable for some artists, painters, authors, poets, playwrights, to play down any thought of deeper meaning in their works. No, it's not a submerged Oedipal complex, for goodness sake. He just likes his mum. Or it's just a story, or a landscape, or a slice of life. You shouldn't read further meaning into it. This is said with a slight roll of the eyes, as if asking the interlocutor to agree with him that it's only those overblown intellectual types that see deep meaning. The rest of us, the normal people, just see a road and a man and some buildings. And if you do see more, and the author or artist themselves has already told you it has no meaning, well, you're really stuck. Slam dunk wrong. The artist himself has told you. You're just another one of those pseudo-intellectuals finding meaning in a banana gaffer taped to the wall. It's a kind of anti-intellectualism, a nod to the everydayness of everyday things. It seeks no more and disdains those who do. But all of that leaves out two important realities. The first one is something I did not know until I started creating art myself. That the artist doesn't always know from where their art arises, that there can be meaning now expressed that the artist themselves has not consciously articulated, and which maybe cannot be articulated other than in their art. That the act of creation calls forth from deeper than what you think you know, and can describe more than you intended. The second reality is that good art is timeless and transcends its time and place, speaking fresh understandings into different contexts. Once launched into the world, great art keeps creating meaning, whether the artist likes it or not. So with those thoughts, back to the painting. Here, in Australia's largest city, by its newest and largest thoroughfare, in the midst of the towering buildings of commerce and enterprise, stands this strange one-armed man. He stands alone. Even the statues are facing away from him. And this statue is raising its hand, pointing the way to a brighter and better future, in a way that would not be out of place in a Soviet-era poster. If you've been here at this intersection, you know already that in reality the statue doesn't have that raised hand. Artistic license, pointing towards that better future, now symbolised by this wonderful new expressway. If Smart only saw his painting as just pleasing geometry and composition, we have to allow that at the time he, like others, really did see the expressway as the future. When he painted it in 1962, the idea of a new freeway may have been empowering, a striking symbol of Sydney's maturity. But today, the painting resonates differently. The lone man looks out at us with studied disinterest. It is the alienation of suburban expressways that has become their singular contribution to our lives. We now know this well over 60 years later. No stopping on freeway, the sign tells us. No interaction with others except via your horn. All interactions must only be undertaken at a service centre, where one liquid is poured into your car while another is relieved from you. Where all food must be purchased from one of the same 5 purveyors of industrialised mixtures of fat, salt and sugar. The expressways cut great gashes through our cities, isolating us in our own metal bubbles. Opposite sides of a freeway develop separately, cut off from social interaction with each other by the wall of concrete, metal and relentless cars. The promise of shorter travel times is swallowed up in unending traffic, always seeking to be resolved by even more expressways. Under a sullen sky with featureless gradations of smog, the dominant palette, an empty, lifeless city is overseen by a bald, overweight man. He's lost an arm, lost some of his agency in the world, but more than that, he's lost his identity, swallowed up in an expanse of bitumen and concrete. Should he take the road up and seek a real horizon, or should he take the tunnel down into the void? Who would care, and what does it matter? Here in the midst of Sydney, in a place teeming with people, the Cahill Expressway cuts its lifeless scar across the soul of the city. A banal offering to a dominant technology, a monument to the displacement of people by our own creations, a road to nowhere. Well, there you go. And look, sometimes I don't know if that video was really about my hatred of expressways or an ode to the beauty of Jeffrey Smart's painting. What I was saying about art having more meaning maybe than even the artist intended is a fairly controversial thought, I suppose. For me it's now obvious, but I know when I've spoken to others they basically think I'm making it up. You may have your own view, please say something in the comments. And while you're doing that kind of stuff, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time. Bye.